This is the story of how I became the crazy wife my husband always told people I was. Except it turned out I wasn't crazy at all. And the only thing I was guilty of was trusting him for way too long before doing something spectacularly stupid that somehow worked out in my favor. Mostly. Before I get into it, yes, I know what I did was wrong. Legally, ethically, probably a few other alleys I haven't thought of. My lawyer told me I was lucky. My therapist told me I was reckless. My sister told me I was a legend. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle, but closer to reckless. I'm sharing this because I think there are people who need to hear that sometimes doing the wrong thing for the right reason still comes with consequences. And sometimes those consequences are worth it anyway. So, me, I'm Brooke, 33 at the time this happened, 34 now. I'd been married to Graham for 6 years, together for 8 total. We met at a friend's barbecue, one of those situations where you end up talking to one person the entire night and forget everyone else exists. He was charming in that specific way where he made you feel like you were the most interesting person in any room. Turns out he made a lot of women feel that way. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I worked, still work, as a dental hygienist. Steady, decent pay, good benefits, and I genuinely like what I do. People think it's gross, but honestly, after the first year, you stop noticing. Graham worked in corporate sales for a tech company. The kind of company where everyone's title has the word solutions in it, and nobody can explain what they actually do at Thanksgiving. He made good money though, better than mine. About 1 to 12K base plus commission. That detail becomes relevant later. We had a house, well, a mortgage. A dog named Pepper who was the actual love of my life. Mini Australian Shepherd, absurdly cute, absolutely unhinged. No kids. We'd been trying for about a year, which in hindsight I think was mostly me trying and him going through the motions, literally. The phone thing started about 8 months before everything blew up. It wasn't dramatic at first. Graham had always been casual about his phone. He'd leave it on the kitchen counter, hand it to me to look up restaurants, whatever. Normal married people stuff. Then one day I picked it up to check the weather. My phone was charging in the bedroom, and he practically lunged across the couch to grab it. "What are you doing?" "Checking the weather. Use your own phone. It's in the other room. Yours was right here. Just here." He checked the weather himself and showed me the screen. 62 and cloudy. Weird. Yes, worth a fight. I didn't think so. But it was the first crack, and once you see the first crack, you start noticing all the others. Over the next few months, the phone became Fort Knox, always face down, always on silent. He started taking it into the bathroom every single time, even to shower. He changed his passcode. I only knew because I saw him punch in something different from the muscle memory pattern I'd seen for years. When I casually asked, "Did you change your code?" he said, "Yeah, the company made us update all our passwords for security. IT policy." I believed that for about a week until I realized that corporate IT policies don't typically extend to your personal iPhone. I tried talking to him, like actually sitting down and saying the adult words. "Graham, I feel like something's off between us. You've been really guarded with your phone and I just want to make sure we're okay." He did the sigh. You know the sigh. The one that's designed to make you feel like you've just said the most exhausting thing any human has ever uttered. "Brooke, I've told you there's nothing going on. I have work stuff on there that's confidential, client information. I could get in trouble if someone else saw it. I'm your wife, not a corporate spy. I know that, but can you just respect my privacy? Is that so hard?" And here's the thing, he wasn't wrong about boundaries. People are allowed to have privacy. I know that. So I backed off. I felt guilty for even asking. I told myself I was being paranoid. I watched 2 YouTube videos about anxious attachment styles and diagnosed myself with being the problem. That lasted about 3 weeks. In late March, Graham left his phone on the kitchen island while he went out to move the sprinklers. It buzzed. I wasn't trying to snoop. I was standing right there chopping carrots. The notification was on the lock screen and it said, "Jessica, can't stop thinking about Tuesday. You're going to be the death of me." My hand stopped mid-chop. I read it 3 times. Then I put the knife down because I was suddenly aware that I was holding a very sharp object and having very intense feelings simultaneously, and that seemed like a bad combination. When Graham came back in, I was still standing at the counter. He saw my face, looked at his phone, and immediately knew. "Before you freak out, who's Jessica?" "She's from accounting, at work. That text is about a presentation we did on Tuesday. It went really well and she's being dramatic about it. You know how work people are." She can't stop thinking about a presentation. It was a really good presentation, with a smirk emoji. Brooke, oh my God, this is exactly what I'm talking about. You see one text and you build this whole narrative in your head. This is why I don't want you on my phone. You take normal stuff and make it into something it's not. And he said it with such conviction that I actually felt embarrassed. He was so calm, so certain, so condescendingly reassuring that I stood in my own kitchen, feeling like I owed him an apology for reading a notification that appeared on a screen facing upward while I was making dinner. I'm sorry, I said. I actually said that. It's fine, just trust me. Please, can you just trust me? Yeah, okay. I want to be really clear about something. The gaslighting didn't happen all at once. It was gradual and effective, and by this point I'd been marinating in it for months. Every time I noticed something off, Graham had a reasonable explanation and a way to make my concern feel irrational. I wasn't being lied to, I was being anxious. I wasn't catching red flags, I was creating drama. The entire framework of our relationship had shifted so that any suspicion on my part was evidence of my problem, not his. It's a special kind of torture, honestly. You know something is wrong, but the person you trust most keeps telling you you're imagining it, and you want so badly to believe them that you gaslight yourself right alongside them. April through June, I was a mess internally but functioning externally. Going to work, cleaning teeth, coming home, making dinner, watching Graham text under the table and pretending I didn't notice. I lost about 7 pounds without trying because my stomach was constantly in a knot. My friend Yolanda told me I looked tired. My sister Paige told me I seemed off. I told them both I was fine. Then in early July, the thing happened that broke me out of the fog. Graham was in the shower. His phone was on the nightstand. It buzzed. I didn't look. It buzzed again and again and again. 4 buzzes in a row. I looked. The lock screen showed 4 messages from Jessica. When are you telling her? I'm serious, G. I can't keep doing this. You said by summer. It is summer. My whole body went cold. Not figuratively. I actually got goosebumps. I could hear the shower running and I stood there in our bedroom reading those 4 messages over and over until I had them memorized. When are you telling her? I can't keep doing this. You said by summer. It is summer. That's not about a presentation. Graham came out of the bathroom in a towel and I was sitting on the bed. He saw my face and did the thing where his expression flickered for a fraction of a second before the mask went on. What? Jessica texted you, okay? 4 times about telling someone something by summer. He picked up his phone, looked at it, and his jaw tightened. You went through my phone. I read the lock screen notifications because they buzzed 4 times while you were in the shower. This is exactly. You know I've asked you not to do this. This is a boundary I've set and you keep. Graham, when are you telling her? Who is her? It's a work thing. We're restructuring a team and stop, just stop. You're being crazy right now. Then show me the rest of the messages. No. Why? Because I shouldn't have to prove myself to my own wife every time someone from work texts me. This is toxic, Brooke. You are being toxic. He said that. He said I was being toxic. While 4 messages from the woman he was sleeping with were sitting on his phone 2 feet away from me. And I saw in his eyes that he believed it, or at least believed he had the right to say it, that I was the problem, that my suspicion was the disease and his behavior was totally, completely normal. I didn't cry. Something in me had shifted. I could feel it happen in real time, like a bone resetting after a break. Click, done. Okay, I said, you're right. I won't go through your phone again. Thank you. I mean it, I'm done. Good, that's all I'm asking. He genuinely looked relieved. He kissed me on the forehead, got dressed, and went downstairs to watch TV. I sat on the bed for another 20 minutes. My hands weren't even shaking. Something had calcified inside me and I was operating on a frequency I didn't know I had. Now here's where I did the thing that was either brilliant or profoundly unhinged. The jury's still out. Over the next week, I was a model wife. Cheerful, relaxed, not a single mention of phones or Jessica or anything. Graham visibly relaxed. He even left his phone on the counter a couple times, which told me he thought the crisis was over. Men are so confident in the "I called her crazy and she apologized" play that they go right back to being careless once it works. What Graham didn't know was that I'd spent that week figuring out his new phone passcode. It wasn't hard. I watched him punch it in from across the room 3 different times and pieced it together. 6 digits, his birth month, his birthday, and 0. Real creative, Graham. On a Wednesday night while he was asleep, he always crashed by 10:30. I took his phone to the bathroom. I opened his messages with Jessica. Her full name, per the contact, was Jessica Mallory. I'm not going to transcribe everything I read because honestly, some of it still makes me nauseous. But the highlights, they'd been seeing each other for about 5 months. She worked in accounting at his company. They'd met at some team-building event. The messages were a mix of explicit stuff that I could have gone my entire life without reading, and relationship-level emotional intimacy that honestly hurt worse than the physical stuff. Pet names, inside jokes. He told her I was emotionally dependent and probably needed therapy more than a husband. She'd responded, "You deserve someone who makes you feel alive, not someone who monitors your phone like a parole officer." Cool, love that for me. But here's the detail that sent me over the edge. He'd been telling Jessica that he was going to leave me. He'd been saying it for months. By summer, after the holidays. Once I figure out the house situation. He was stringing her along with promises to end our marriage, while also stringing me along with "trust me" and "you're crazy." Both of us were being played, and neither of us knew the full picture. I should have closed the phone, called a lawyer, and done this properly. That is what a rational adult would do. I'm telling you what I actually did. I opened Graham's laptop. He used the same password for everything, another thing I knew but hadn't let on. I logged into his company Slack. He was in maybe 20 channels. One of them was the general company channel. Over 200 people, including his direct manager, a guy named Vince, and the VP of their division. I took screenshots of the messages, not the explicit ones. I didn't want to distribute that. I selected messages where Graham explicitly talked about their relationship, where he referenced sneaking around at work, where he mentioned a specific incident of them using a conference room on the 4th floor for a meeting that was very much not a meeting, and where he called his own wife crazy for suspecting what was objectively happening. Then I uploaded those screenshots to the general Slack channel with a single message from Graham's account. "Hi everyone, Graham's wife here. I think there's been a misunderstanding about what the 4th floor conference room is for. Thought I'd share some context. Have a great Wednesday." I logged out, put his phone back, went to bed, and slept better than I had in months, which probably says something about me that I should explore in therapy. Thursday morning, I was already up making coffee when Graham came downstairs, checking his phone like he did every morning. I was watching from behind my mug. The exact moment he saw the notification was, I can't even describe it. His face drained of color so fast I thought he might pass out. He actually grabbed the counter. What the, Brooke? My Slack, did you do this? Do what? Don't play dumb. Did you go on my Slack and post? Oh my God. He was scrolling frantically. His hands were shaking. There's 60 responses, Vince commented. Vince, my boss's boss, commented, Brooke, this is my career. Do you understand what you've done? I understood what you were doing for 5 months. Figured maybe your co-workers should understand too. You're insane. You are actually insane. This is illegal. You accessed my accounts without permission. I'm calling a lawyer. You should probably also call HR. He left the house in 20 minutes. Didn't eat breakfast, didn't shower, barely put on matching shoes. I watched him peel out of the driveway, and I sat at the kitchen table, and the adrenaline finally hit. My hands started shaking so hard I had to put the coffee down. Pepper came and put her head on my lap, and I sat there vibrating for about an hour, wondering if I'd just made the biggest mistake of my life. Here's the reality of what happened next, and it's messier than you'd think. Graham was fired, but not for cheating. Companies don't fire you for having an affair, not directly. They fired him because the Slack messages I posted included references to using company property, the conference room, for personal conduct during work hours, and because the resulting chaos created what HR termed a hostile work environment. Jessica was put on a performance improvement plan, which is basically corporate language for, "We're building a paper trail to let you go." She resigned 3 weeks later. Graham came home that Thursday evening, and he was a different person. Not broken exactly, but rattled in a way I'd never seen. He was furious, but also scared, which is a combination that makes people unpredictable. "I got fired, Brooke. Are you happy? I got fired. I'm not happy about any of this, Graham. You did this to me. You went through my phone after I told you. You were cheating on me. So you destroy my career. That's proportional to you. That seems fair. You know what doesn't seem fair? Being told I'm crazy for 6 months while my husband sleeps with someone from accounting and tells her I need therapy. That one hit. I could see it land. He opened his mouth and closed it. Then, I want you out of this house. I'm not going anywhere. You should probably call your mother. This is my house. It's our house. Both names on the mortgage. And right now you're the one who just lost his income. So maybe be careful about who you're asking to leave. He slept in the guest room that night. I slept in our bed. Pepper slept with me. Correct choice, Pepper. Now, the consequences. For both of us. Graham lawyered up fast. His attorney sent me a letter within a week claiming I'd illegally accessed his electronic communications and his company's communication platform, and that they were considering pressing charges. My sister Paige, who works as a paralegal, immediately connected me with a family law attorney named Denise, who was sharp and direct and did not sugarcoat things. What you did was unauthorized access to his communications. That's potentially actionable. In practice, in the context of a divorce, it's complicated. Courts sometimes look the other way when a spouse discovers infidelity, especially if you didn't distribute truly explicit content. But you posted to his workplace. That's where it gets dicey. So I'm in trouble. You're in trouble adjacent. His attorney is posturing. They probably won't actually pursue criminal charges because a trial would mean all of this. The affair, the messages, everything becomes part of the public record. My guess is they'll use it as leverage in the divorce settlement. She was right. That's exactly what happened. The divorce took about 8 months. It was brutal. Graham's side pushed hard on the narrative that I'd committed a malicious act that cost him his career. My side pushed on the fact that he'd conducted an affair during work hours using company resources and had emotionally manipulated his wife for months. The judge in our case was a woman in her 60s named Judge Alderman, who had clearly seen every version of this story and was tired of all of us. Here's what actually happened with the assets. The house was the big fight. We were both on the mortgage, but Graham had contributed more to the down payment because he was making more money at the time. However, I'd been consistently paying my share of the mortgage for 6 years with no gaps. We had to sell. The market was decent, and after the mortgage payoff there was about $84,000 in equity. It did not get split 50-50. Because of what I did, the slack thing, Graham's attorney successfully argued that my actions had caused demonstrable financial harm by contributing to his termination. Denise fought it hard, but the judge agreed to some extent. I ended up with $32,000. Graham got $52,000. That stung a lot. I'd essentially cost myself $10,000 or more with my stunt, and I had to sit with that. I also had about $9,500 in legal fees, so my actual takeaway was around $22,500. Worth it? Ask me on different days, you'll get different answers. The other consequences rolled in more slowly. Graham's reputation in his industry took a hit, not because of the slack thing specifically, that got taken down within hours apparently, but because the story got around. Sales is a relationship-driven field, and when the story of why you left your last company is my wife posted my affair in the company chat, that follows you. He got a new job about 4 months later, but it was a step down. Lower base, less commission structure, smaller company. Paige told me she heard this through someone who knew someone. I didn't seek out the information. Jessica Mallory landed on her feet faster, from what I heard. New company, similar role. No idea if she and Graham continued seeing each other, and honestly, I stopped caring. My therapist says that's progress. I think it's just exhaustion. The part nobody tells you about is the social aftermath. Our friend group didn't split. It shattered. People I'd known for years suddenly had opinions about what I did that they needed to share with me. My friend Yolanda stood by me completely. She was at my apartment. I moved into a 2-bedroom near my dental practice, with wine and pepper supplies the day I moved in. But others weren't as generous. Graham's best friend Neil called me about a month into the divorce proceedings. I just want you to know that what you did to Graham was vindictive and cruel, and you could have handled this like an adult. Neil, he cheated on me for 5 months and told me I was crazy for suspecting it. People have affairs, Brooke. It happens. You didn't have to ruin his career. You're right. He could have also just not had an affair. Wild option, completely available to him. You need to take some responsibility for... I'm hanging up now. Please don't call me again. I blocked his number. First person I'd ever blocked, and it felt surprisingly good. Paige was my rock through the whole thing. She came over every weekend, helped me set up the apartment, brought Pepper treats, and listened to me go through every stage of grief in no particular order. One Saturday, I was assembling an IKEA bookshelf, and I just started crying. Not about Graham, about the bookshelf. Because every piece of furniture in our house had been picked out together, and now I was building a 79 by Kallax unit alone on a Saturday night, and my hands were sore from the Allen wrench. "It's just a bookshelf," Paige said. "I know it's just a bookshelf." "Then why are you crying?" "Because it's just a bookshelf. That's the whole point. It's just a bookshelf, and I'm building it alone." She sat down on the floor next to me and we finished it together. "It's crooked. I don't care. It holds books." Graham and I had one final conversation outside the courthouse after the divorce was finalized. He looked tired, not destroyed, not dramatic, just tired in a way that ages you. "I didn't plan for any of this to happen," he said. "With Jessica, it just happened." "Things that just happen don't involve planning what to say to your wife for 6 months, Graham." He looked at the ground. "The Slack thing was messed up." "Yeah, it was, so you admit it." "I admit it was messed up. I also admit that I'd do it again, which probably means I need more therapy. I'm working on it." He almost smiled. "Almost. You're something else, Brooke, I know." That was the last real conversation we had. We communicated through lawyers about the remaining financial stuff, and that was it. I'm writing this about 4 months after the divorce was finalized. I live in my 2-bedroom apartment with Pepper. The extra bedroom is technically an office, but mostly it's where Pepper has her bed, and I keep the crooked bookshelf. I go to work. I come home. I've been seeing a therapist bi-weekly who is helping me untangle the gaslighting stuff, which apparently sinks deeper into your brain than you think. Some days I catch myself questioning my own perception of things, and I have to actively remind myself, "You were right. It was real. You weren't crazy." Would I do the Slack thing again? Honestly, if I could go back, I'd skip that part and just go straight to Denise's office. The satisfaction lasted maybe 48 hours. The financial and legal consequences lasted months. The emotional satisfaction of watching Graham's face that morning was real. I'm not going to pretend it wasn't, but it cost me roughly $10,000 in equity and a lot of stress I didn't need. But here's what I can't let go of. He called me crazy, over and over. He made me doubt my own mind, my own eyes, my own instincts. He rewrote reality so thoroughly that I apologized to him for catching him. And when I finally proved I wasn't crazy, in the most dramatic, unhinged way possible, the world still found ways to punish me more than him. He lost a job. He got another one. Jessica moved on. Nobody's life was permanently destroyed. But I'm the one who lost money in the divorce split. I'm the one who got a letter threatening criminal charges. I'm the one whose friends called her vindictive. That's the part they don't put in the justice served stories. The justice is never clean. It's messy and expensive, and it costs you things too. You don't walk into the sunset. You walk into an IKEA apartment with a crooked bookshelf and a good dog, and you hope that's enough. Most days it is.